I always try and like close out the conference with like a wrap up, which is kind of hard to do, especially, I feel like this is the best year that we've had. It's been just so deep for me, for my life, and so many other people I've talked to. But I'm going to attempt tonight to kind of sum this up, and I'm going to be brief, and then I'll turn it over to Alice. And then I really wanted to share a story with you guys. But the topic that I'm going to use this story to kind of bounce off on, let's see if this will progress. Bam. Okay. Is controlling the destiny of your art. That's what I want to talk about tonight. Can you control the destiny of your art? Which the answer is no. But we're going to talk about that, and I'm going to use a story here in a second to bounce off of that. Who in this room would say that you're a controlling person? Anyone want to admit that tonight? Alice, I see that hand. Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, I see a couple of hands. Really honest. I love that. This is a weekend of honesty. No one ever taught me to be this way, but I feel like I grew up in a very, very controlled environment. Not that my parents were controlling or anything like that, but, I love schedule, I love order, thus I like, control, right? And that can work in some areas of your life. The Q&A we had earlier with Sean and different ones and talking about schedules, and I know that freaks some people out. It freaks me out some days, and I don't want to follow a schedule, but there's something in me that, will just quickly realign to the schedule. But in my creativity, for a long time, I wanted to be a control freak. And I wouldn't press go on something unless I had A to Z figured out. Because it was scary, and it's just like, well, no, I need to be in control, because what if I look like a fool? What if the money doesn't come? What if this person hates me? Doing something with Alice. What if Alice hates me? And we've had our moments, and we just love even deeper through that. But I'm confessing, I've sought to be, at different times of my creative journey, a control freak, where I've just wanted to know the end from the beginning. And that's not how creativity works. So control, let's look at this, refers to having the ability and power to manage and influence something in a way that's purposeful and balanced. So control is actually good. We want to be self-controlled, right? We don't want to be just like free-for-all, crazy, reckless, whatever. So control is a good thing. Controlling, on the other hand, involves a forceful and often unhealthy attempt to manage or manipulate outcomes. It's driven by fear, insecurity, and many times a need for perfection. Can anyone relate to being controlling, probably into other areas of your life besides just your art, but we'll just hone in tonight on art. And I've seen it in my own life. I've seen in co-writing sessions for worship songs, like a controlling spirit, if you want to say that, but just a controlling attitude where people are wanting to like count words to see how we're going to split up the royalties of the song, and they literally keep like a tally of which words make it into the final cut, and which ones were Justin's, which ones were this person and this person's. And if you write that way, I bless you, but that's like very controlling, and that's not awesome. Andy knows what I'm talking about. And I've been in a lot of writing sessions where it's been that way. And so I want to talk tonight about a person. That's not me, though I know you were tempted to think that was. You probably don't know, but does anyone have a guess? How about a genre? Musician? Artist? It's not Keith Green. Kind of looks like him. But I want to talk about this guy tonight because he had a journey where he had to relinquish control and just give everything up. He has to do with this company. So it's John Mackey. He's the founder of Whole Foods. You guys probably didn't see this coming. We're going all natural here tonight, okay? So John, this is him as a young man, and we're going to look at his life really, really briefly tonight. Let's just look at what John has built. John is very old now. He's still living, but he's given up the CEO-ship of Whole Foods. But what he started, which we're going to look at his origination of this company, now has over 500 stores across America and the UK. Reported annual revenue, this is 2023's numbers, $574 billion. Gross profit, 93. Net income of $30 billion. Whole Foods is a huge, huge company. So there he is again. So he grew up from a young age, born in 1953, and from a young age in Dallas, Texas, he was very, very interested in nutrition for just kind of no random reason. Loved health, experimented with different diets in his teenage years. It's so strange, Andy, you use this word tonight. Vegetarianism, as I was researching to prepare for this talk, did you know that vegetarianism is different than veganism? Wow, I guess everyone knew that. I didn't know that, so I guess I won't even talk about that. So in 1971, John is 18 years old, and his mom is a very, very important part of this story, not for a good reason. His mom, Mary, was very, very intense with John about him getting an education and going to college. And so all through his teenage years, he's talking about natural health and like, what if there was a store where you could just be a vegan or do veganism, whatever it is, and people can come to it, like to buy groceries. And his mom, very, very early on, is like, just get that crazy thought out of your head. You're going to go to college because successful people go to college, okay? So his mom was very, very intense, and we'll talk more about her. But he tried to follow his mom's encouragement, and he enrolled at the University of Texas for 1 semester. He quickly dropped out, saying, that just is not right for me. It was not a good fit for me. His mom was not happy. And this was hard for his mom. This was also hard for John. And he gives testimony to this. He says, it's very, very hard to pursue something where you can't see its end. And John, as he dropped out of college at the University of Texas, he watched his friend Bill, who was going to be a surgeon, head on the path to be a surgeon. You can see the end. Pretty good ballpark of what you're going to make in the end financially. He watched his other friend Tom seek to become a lawyer, and he enrolled in school. You can see the end. You're going to make some pretty good money being a lawyer. And John said, no, that's not for me. I want to do health food. And again, this did not exist back in the day. So he could not see his end. So obviously the application for us tonight, with your creativity, the temptation is to just control it and say, oh, no, okay, it's going to do this, it's going to do this, and then I'll have this, and then I'll have this. And then once that's done, I'll go over here and I'll do this, and I'll do this. And that's not how it works. It's not how it works. So how would I describe John's life in a sentence? A dreamer who could not see his end with a mom who did not believe in him and gave him a lot of hell about his decisions. But time went on. 1978, Safer Way Natural Foods was founded by John and his then girlfriend, Renee Lawson. They co-founded it together. This is key. He wasn't alone when he started it. It is important to note that they quickly broke up after that, but they stayed together to see this business through. That's pretty impressive to me. Their romantic relationship ended, and the money for the opening of this store, Safer Way, was through John's savings and also through her savings, and so they went into it together. 1978, they opened up their doors, Safer Way Natural Food Store in Austin, Texas. And the first 2 years were rough. This did not exist. No one's looking for organic anything. No one's looking for, healthy eating in those days. So the first 2 years of this business were really, really rough. 78, 1979. And then 1980 came. And then it got really, really bad. And there was a flood in Austin caused by a combination of heavy rain, a series of thunderstorms, 10 inches of rain in just a few hours. The Barton Creek and the Colorado River overflowed, $35 billion of damages, 13 people died, and Safer Way Natural Foods had 4 feet of water in it. So he goes to his store after this horrible flood, and he's literally wading through looking at all this stock that's just trashed, and it's horrible. And he's faced with a decision. He's faced with the decision. What in the world is he going to do? I would probably be tempted to just shut it down, eat your losses. You're already broken up with this girl. Just see you later. I'm going to find a new girl and start a new business, right? But instead, he relinquished control, and it actually became a catalyst for change. And dark and tragic seasons are often the catalyst for our greatest change. We've said that like 25 different ways this weekend. But dark and tragic seasons are often the catalyst for our greatest change. And so John didn't stop. He went to Frost Bank. Apparently it still exists today. So he walks into Frost Bank. Well, first, he's in his 4 feet of water, and he was so touched, people from the community just began to come with these mops and buckets, and they cleared out the store. Okay, then you have like mold issues. All of his stock is gone. So he talks to all the suppliers and says, hey, would you cut me a deal? Would you, loan me the stock? I'll pay you back on the back end, whatever. And some of them were gracious with him, and people in the neighborhood came, and they got all the water out of his store. And he's like, I need capital to get this thing off the ground now. I need more money. Who's going to invest? Flood happened. The whole, city is ravaged. What bank is going to give me a loan? Well, good news is he walked into Frost Bank, and he spoke with Randy White, who's a loan officer there, and he heard his pitch. Natural food, man. It's the way of the future. People are going to love this. Natural food. And this guy, Randy, said, hey, I kind of like this. Let's do it. So he got a loan for $100,000. He believed in the vision, and Whole Foods was born in this way. Now, there's a crazy part to the story we'll talk about in a second. And then I'll mention this first. Another thing that he did after he got this loan, which we'll talk about there, is he merged quickly after he got this loan, created Whole Foods. He merged with another local grocery store, which is another huge principle there, trying to be this solo, massively controlling artist. This is mine. I'm going to do it alone in some shed in the middle of Kansas, and then when I'm ready for my stuff to be shown, I'll come out and show the world. You look at history, that's not how it works at all. It's in collaboration. It's with relinquishing control. And that's what John did, walking into this bank, asking for help, getting $100,000, partnering with this other grocery store. He gave up, obviously equity in the company to them, but he lived to see another day. Here's what's crazy about this story. This is in 1980 that he got this $100,000. In 2010, years later, John is at an event, and this guy walks up to him, and it's the loan officer. It's Randy. And Randy said, hey, do you remember me? He's like, Frost Bank. Absolutely. You gave us the loan. Your bank gave us a loan. That is why Whole Foods exists today and is a multi-billion-dollar company. He says, well, John, I want to tell you something. He's like, okay. When you walked into our offices that day in 1980, the bank denied your loan. I ran it up the chain. They wanted nothing to do with you. I myself am the reason why you have that money. He pulled some strings and gave him $100,000, which in 1980 was obviously worth a lot more money. So the reason Whole Foods exists today is because some guy started a company, and to finish the story on his mom, to his mom's deathbed. This is very, very sad studying this. His mom's deathbed, his final conversation, and he's like a multi-millionaire at this time, having this final conversation. Whole Foods is well on its way. His mom's on his deathbed. He didn't know it'd be the last conversation, but it would be the last conversation. She's still railing on John to go to college, to not be a failure with his life. He's like, Mom, do you see what I built? Multi-million-dollar business. I don't care. Go to college. So he never got the approval of his mom, even after being wildly successful. So against all odds, a bank gifting him this money. What if he had told himself, standing in 4 feet of water, my mom was right. It's time to go to college and become an accountant, or it's time to become a plumber. It's time to, whatever it might be. No, instead I'm going to go to a bank and try and convince him to give me $100,000 for a health food store. So here's the point. Let go of the illusion that you are in control of your creative destiny and just create. Let go of the illusion that you're in control of your creative destiny and just create. You have no idea who God will put in your path. The past 5 years of my life, and I've been in partnership with Alice and Josh on all of this, we produced 3 movies in the past 3 years. We produced a Christmas show with 2,200 people this past December. Saw 19 first-time salvations. You have to understand, I don't come from money. I don't have money. I don't have some big nest egg of savings. I went out and talked to any business person with a pulse to see this dream that Alice and I had come to fruition. And I've had some horrible meetings. I shared this one, I think, 2 years ago, but it's worth repeating. I did a whole podcast on this. Walked into this gentleman's office 3 years ago. We needed $100,000 more for our film, and Alice remembers this. We're like a couple weeks out from shooting. I walk into this guy's office. He gave me 15 minutes on his calendar. And I sit down. I have my deck ready. I was ready to go and ask him for finances, share the vision of why we're doing this. He stops me 15 seconds into my pitch. And he's like, Justin, I will not be partnering with what you guys are doing. You're a musician. You're a worship leader. You're way out of your league. Why don't you just do what The Chosen has done and get a bunch of soccer moms to give you $50 a month in donations? And once you've accumulated all the money you need to make a film, here's a business tip for you. Don't press go on a project until you have the capital. I will not be giving to your film. Thank you so much. I so appreciate your kind words. There's a lot going on in the emotions. This past December, I haven't shared this one publicly yet. This past December, I'm on the phone with someone who came recommended to me. And the crazy thing is I wasn't even pitching this guy for money. I was just inviting him to come, VIP experience, whatever, because he's a pretty influential person. And I'm on the phone with him, and I share the vision for the show. And to say this man was dry would be an understatement. He said, why in the world would I ever come to your Christmas show over any other Christmas show? There's tons of Christmas shows. Yes, sir, absolutely. That is a phenomenal point. I'm like pulling something out of my hat, like, well, here's why, sir. He's like, no, it's not doing it for me. Yes, absolutely, sir. Me neither. I like dig again in my, back of the tricks of trying to find something. And he literally says, no, it's not doing it still. He says, I can watch It's a Wonderful Life on TV at any time I want on demand. Why would I ever come to your show? God, that's a good point. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you, right? So the guy, I'm not even asking you for money. You don't even want to come to the show. My illusion of how my creativity would work, my illusion of how I want to control these films and just will them into existence, get all the capital that I need with an instant snap of the finger, is not how it works. And sometimes our expectation and the control that we're trying to do with our art can lock us up. When the Lord's like, actually, true freedom is found when you just let it go. And you keep sharing it with business people. Keep trying to get patrons. Keep writing your songs. Keep, doing whatever your creative niche is. Stop micromanaging your creativity. We'll get some Bible in here. Just do it. It's Nike. No, where's the Bible verse? The Bible verse didn't make it in the slides. Proverbs 16. Here's the Bible. Proverbs 16, verse 9. The heart of man plans his way, but the Lord establishes his steps. And it's my prayer for us, for each person who's attended this, if you're watching this after the fact online, that each person who's come to this event would have the stirrings of the Holy Spirit to press in to what the Lord has called them to do. And we wouldn't get ourselves stuck in the wheel of having too much common sense for our own good. And common sense would say, why would you ever write another song? You're not going to ever do it as good as this person. Your hair isn't as nice as this person. Your body's definitely not as nice as that person. Why would you ever do that? They have a successful career. They'll write all the songs. You don't need to do anything. Well, yeah, common sense. That's not common sense. I promise you. Do you know how many people, just for songwriters for a second, Alice, you can come on up, how many people don't want to write songs in the world? If you have a desire to write songs, that's not normal. Lean in to that desire. And so Alice is going to lead us through here. Thank you for coming, Creative Legacy. Got to get through my slides. See you next year. Alice is going to lead us through a couple of things. related to some wins from this event, and then she'll see us out here soon.